So I just got back from seeing Captain Marvel. Now this is the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this is supposed to introduce the character of Carol Danvers. As Kevin Feige put it, she is the most powerful character in the entire Marvel Universe. And she's going to be playing a big part this April when she helps the other Avengers to fight Thanos in Avengers Endgame. Now you may be wondering, oh, why are the Mallrats Blu-ray in the background of the video? Well, I'm going to further explain on that, but first, let's talk about the plot. The year is 1995. Mallrats came out in 1995, in case you guys are wondering. Vers, which is... See, Carol Danvers is currently suffering from a thing of amnesia because she has no idea who she is, she has no idea where she came from. She's given a name called Vers, and the reason why she's called Vers is because it's the last part of her name, Carol Danvers. Yeah, it's a bit on the nose, but what can you do? She's sent to Earth to try and see if she could be able to help stop a Skrull invasion led by Talos. Who? I'm forgetting the name of the actor. But I know he was the villain. He was one of the villains in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and he was the villain in Ready Player One. And she teams up with Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, as they have to stop the Skrulls. First of all, I want to mention real quick. Hold on one second. I have to move this. De-aging CGI on Samuel L. Jackson and Clark Gregg, who, it's just great to see Coulson again in the movie, and this also is a callback to the first Iron Man movie in which Coulson told Tony, Mr. Stark, this is not my first rodeo. This is probably the rodeo that he is talking about. And it's amazing about how they're able to, Marvel is really up on their A game with these de-aging visual effects. First with Michael Douglas in Ant-Man, then Robert Downey Jr. in Captain America Civil War, then Kurt Russell in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, then both Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and now this. This is just awesome. And of course, Samuel L. Jackson does a great job as always as Nick Fury. He is so awesome. And there actually are a few tidbits in this movie, like, how exactly did he lose his left eye? Wait. Yeah, how exactly did he lose his left eye? That's explained in the movie. Why did Fury come up with the idea of the Avengers Initiative, and why is it called the Avengers Initiative? That is explained. It just sort of fills in the gaps of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But let's talk about some negatives that I have in this movie. I thought the action was a bit standard, and sometimes I could legitimately not tell what was going on. Unless there was a close-up of something, of someone's face, I could tell, oh wait, that's who that person is. It's really, really hard to see, especially in the opening when they're on an alien planet. It's very hard to see everything because it's murky, there's like smoke everywhere for effect. It's very hard to see. Which is a shame because the guy, the DP of this, he did Guardians of the Galaxy, and he also did, I know he did Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think he did something else. I'm forgetting the other movie, but he made those movies look awesome, but I guess the fact that it was probably a decision by the directors to tone down the colors or something like that, I don't know. But yeah. And Brie Larson, I think she does a good job. She's not terrible by any means, but I think she's just a bit okay. There are some scenes in which she's really good. It's a bit mixed because there are some scenes she can do really, really well, and other times she's just as wooden as a thing of cardboard. So, hey, what can you do? But I think, to quote Jeremy Jaws, who's another famous YouTuber out there, I think DC did a better job with Wonder Woman. Because I understand the fact that they're trying to get the idea of female empowerment, all that, but I honestly think that Wonder Woman did a better job than this did. Don't get me wrong, this is still a good movie, but I just do feel like the fact that that Wonder Woman did it better. And also, this feels a bit like a filler movie that's just setting up Carol in Avengers Endgame. Not that it's bad or anything like that. Like I said before, there's a lot of highlights. Brie Larson, in some instances, she is good. Samuel L. Jackson, he's great as always to see is Nick Fury, and Coulson, as always, he's cool. The main person who plays Talos, he actually does a pretty good job too. And Jude Law, who plays Jan Rog, he does a really good job too. Jude Law's just awesome. But yeah, if I had to give Captain Marvel's score, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. But yeah. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The Stan Lee cameos and the post-credit scenes. We'll start with the Stan Lee cameo. The reason why I have a Mallrats Blu-ray behind me is that the Stan Lee cameo is when Carol's on that train, and you can see it in the trailer. It's when she punches an old lady, a scroll disguised as an old lady. You can actually see Stan reading his script, his lines for the movie Mallrats, which was written and directed by Kevin Smith, and it came out in 1995. Which, man, and of course the opening, which is just the opening Marvel intro, which is just nothing but all the Stan Lee cameos. I thought that was great too. And then of course there's the post-credit scenes. Now, before we touch on that, to give you a little bit of context here, as it turns out, the Skrulls were not actually the bad guys. The Kree are. They're actually trying to destroy the Skrulls, even though they did nothing to them. They just don't agree with the Kree, so that's why that happened. And Talos really isn't the bad guy all that much. Jan Rog is more the villain, and so are the other Kree members. So Carol leaves for a while to go help them find another home. Then we get our first post-credit scene, which shows what happened after Fury paged Carol back at the second post-credit scene of Avengers Endgame, Infinity War. We see that the remaining Avengers, Captain America, Black Widow, War Machine, Thor, Hulk, all those other guys, they found the pager, and then the pager just stops. And then we see Carol with longer hair and a different costume asking for Fury. Second post-credit scene involves Goose the Cat. Now, Goose the Cat, he is not actually a cat. He's actually an alien species known as a flurkin. And which means he could be able to sprout like giant tentacles and other things from his mouth. And the big energy source that the Kree are after, it's actually the Tesseract from the first Avengers movie. Now, Goose ends up eating. Oh, and also in the comics, Goose is actually not called Goose. He's actually called Chewie, after Chewbacca from Star Wars. And they named him Goose from Top Gun because, you know, of all the aerial flight stuff and all that. But the second post-credit scene actually has him regurgitate the Tesseract in Fury's office. So there is that. Now, so yeah, that was my review of Captain Marvel. It's just an okay Marvel movie. It's not Infinity War, Captain America, Civil War great, but it's not Iron Man 2 or Thor the Dark World average either. So, yeah. So, I honestly would recommend the fact that you see it for yourself, because don't listen to my opinions. It's just an opinion, because people are always going to have different opinions when it comes to certain things. In fact, I have this great philosophy about opinions too. Opinions are like our butts. Everyone's got one, and most of the time, they're usually full of crap. So, yeah. So that's my review of Captain Marvel, everybody. So, tune in next time where I continue my Road to Avengers Endgame series, as in the next video I will cover Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World, so stick around for that. And as always, stay gold.